Yeah, let's start
Oh,
recording.
there you go. Yeah.
Feeling this.
That's right. A good poo joke will never cease to make me laugh. Not even... It's haunting.
Hold on one sec. Tippy just opened the window. 1 second.
I can't handle your the Hanson Foster. I keep like switching them. So every time I talk to someone about you, I just keep switching your last names around. It's like Kate Foster Hanson, Kate Hanson Foster, Kate like Hanson Foster Kate. Like I can't keep track, and I'm sorry. It's just how it's gonna be. I'm definitely gonna screw up your name.
That's
It'll be like faulty towers. It'll be like towers for rearrange Kate's
we have
name
like
every
Andy
episode.
Richter over here on the couch.
Side comment. I am ready for this. I'm excited.
I am too.
Yeah, I know this feels like a long time in the making,
This.
and I feel like we've done simultaneously a lot and nothing to prepare for this, and I'm like very pumped to see how it goes.
I put like 7 serums on my face to get ready. And tinted chapstick.
Nice.
Yeah.
I showered.
So I also have my phone on hand in case, because as you know, there was that neurovirus outbreak that like made national news in my town. So I'm like waiting for a phone call any moment that like one of my kids exploded. This is totally appropriate for what we're doing. But you know, remember how I told you how last week I like Corley's was the first one to get sick, and I thought she was like a one and done puker or whatever. And so I was all like, oh, like, cause she's like, I feel so much better now, Mom. I'm like, okay. So I like went to bed. I fell like into like a deep sleep, and then it was like far in the recesses of my unconscious. It was like, no, Mom, like I'm gonna get sick again. So I jump out, trip on my blankets of my bed, and like fall down on my forearms. Anyways, I sent you a picture of
you did, and it was gnarly, and I also showed my family.
Guess what? But there's more. So as I was putting on all my serums this morning, this is so bad. I'm gonna show it to you.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh. Okay.
And then I'll let you tell me what you think it looks like.
Oh my. Why is it like that? Oh, that is amazing. It's like it's like you've got it.
It's like
is
I
like
tattooed a vagina on my arm.
Off to a great start.
Yeah.
Off to a great start.
Yeah.
Okay, so if this is gonna be the debut, we should do the whole what we're about thing. Well, no, I mean that's gonna set the tone. I mean that's
on my arm.
I feel like, you know what? If they're still with us at that point, I think we found our audience, so it's gonna be good.
I think I just hooked everybody in.
I just reeled them in.
Yeah.
Within 5 minutes, there's already vagina talk. So
yeah, no, I got them. Yeah.
So we're so poetic. We have MFAs. We're so good. We have books and MFAs, everybody. This is what you get. All right. So Table for Deuce, where we shoot the shit about all things lit. And for me, it is mostly about having fun. I feel like I haven't had hardly any fun in the literary realm in it's been like 7 years, I think, or approximately. Like it's so career oriented, and it's the conversations that are being had just aren't really doing it for me, nor do I feel all that invited to them to participate in them in any way, shape, or form. So I just wanted a space where I can talk to friends or people that I respect at least and talk about literary things. You know who's not doing anything? Kate. I'm gonna contact her.
What's Kate been doing? Kate, have you been writing?
Kate.
No,
Kate.
I did change all the doorknobs in my house.
You disassembled a table.
I did disassemble a table. Sometimes like I find like my cat sleeping like in a sleeping on the floor, and I just like curl up next to them for a while. That's what I've been doing. I was like, wow, how did I not realize this was a thing? Like when the sunbeam hits the floor and it gets all like toasty warm. So I just go into like fetal position as it moves around the house.
You're like, these cats are onto something.
No,
So how has your writing been?
well, I'm trying to work on reviews because I'm trying to get reviews for my new book. So I thought if I pay a little bit into the universe, that something might come back. And I also find that I'm doing it like much slower than I think I should be, or at least that everybody else is. Like some people are like banging out like reviews like this and that. I don't know. I'm thirsty for like conversation and what we're all writing about and everything, and like how we're like conversing with each other. And at this point, I don't think we are. Have you been writing?
No, I have not. I haven't written anything in I've written blurbs. I've done a couple blurbs. I can do that. I've managed to eke out some emails that I've needed to, but I haven't written creatively. It's probably 6 months to a year, I'm guessing.
Are you following proper blurb format?
I am. I have this wonderful formula laid out for myself, and I could basically just inject certain words, certain adjectives here, a little bit of an exaggeration here. But I will be honest though, I will not blurb a book I do not like. I will make an excuse not to. So if I actually have blurbed someone's book, I usually actually like it. I genuinely, because I actually have a certain amount of integrity I feel like I need to represent.
You know, I haven't yet been in the position where I've really had to come like face to face with somebody and be like, I'm sorry, I just like, unless you want to know my real feelings, politely pass. Or I'll be like, oh, or I'll just go with the like, my children have neurovirus and I have a vagina.
No, I really got to get this checked out. I don't know what's happening. But no, I haven't. Usually when someone asks me, we've already have some sort of like communication. It's usually not like some kind of cold call or just random solicitation, which has been good. I don't tend to answer those at all. I've been solicited before where it's someone I've never heard of and they're like, could you review this book? And it's just like delete.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't feel bad about that. I do a lot of other things.
Like any like form submissions to my website, and I just, there's a lot I just can't get to. When people see that you review books, everyone comes running, to anyone who looks like they might do a review. So yeah, like I get one of those emails, and I just, I do politely say like, I'm just really, really busy.
busy with puking children and multiple vaginas.
Doorknobs in my house. And I also changed the light switch covers as well. So that was, like I've had a lot going on. A lot.
I'm friends with people whose work I generally like. Usually starts off that way. So literary friendships for me begin where I admire their writing, and then a friendship kind of blooms from there, rather than I like you and then that taints my reading of your work. So I'm naturally going to be biased towards liking your work. So
that's so true for me too. And I think it almost like comes across as a contradiction, because I've like, written reviews for friends and blurbs for friends. And that comes across as like the classic nepotism, factor. Most of my writing friends, like, the friendship bloomed out of admiration. So it's easy, to like write supportive, blurbs or reviews or whatever. In that way. I just think in the larger scale of, I guess it's funny saying larger scale because the poetry world is so small.
All 112 of us.
Everyone runs to like the big hot name, please. And the big hot name's like, oh, darn it, I had you as an MFA student. Yeah, I guess I have to,
Yeah, exactly. But I would also like to thank all my past MFA mentors who blurbed some of my books. So yay, hooray for them.
I would also
I have forced them.
All those who have taken pity on me in the past as well. Let's talk about the Sealey challenge. Did you do it?
Let's do it. I have never done it, never. And I cannot keep up with that pace. I've read at that pace before, and I am not getting what I want to out of the reading experience. It is very rare that I can sit and a book will hold me throughout the whole thing anyways in a day. That's a very rare experience for me to begin with. And to do that 30 times over, I don't see that happening. And I don't see it being very good for me as a close reader and editor.
I don't know if every book should be treated like, like a music album. Everyone's gonna lie on their beds and like listen to it from front to back, I don't know. I would say like my latest book had like a narrative thread, a very faint narrative thread, but something that still could be picked up and put down. I hope you pick it up, you put it down. But if someone raced through it because it needed to be read in a day, it just feels like a disservice, and I feel the same about reading other people's stuff. Like I said, I'm working on this one review for this book, and I'm like on my third pass through it because I want to, I want to give it like the time we as poets like want to have on our poems. If it's done well and the poems are good, they deserve the time. But for me, it's how do you like, dig deeper into that, and how does it converse with so and so else's book which has like a similar theme, or a larger social issue, or nothing at all, like just time and space. Who knows? That's kind of impossible to me to do every single day for an entire month.
Yeah, I wanted the reverse. I wanted to create like the reverse Sealey challenge where I'm reading one poem every day, 30 days in a row. Because there are some poems like that I will never stop reading over and over and over. Like Song by Bridget Piggy and Kelly is a poem I can read every day and be surprised by every day. Like it just never ceases to not surprise me. Like it is constantly surprising, constantly shocking, and constantly beautiful. Like every time I read it. And I don't have that experience with a whole book every day. And I couldn't, like I said, I just could not pace myself like that and get what I want out of the book. And I would be doing the book a disservice, I think.
Yeah.
I think the Sealey challenge is great in the sense that it is a community kind of experience where like people are showing off, these are the books I read or I'm going to read. And it's fun to be a part of that. Every year someone reads one of my books, which is great, but also it's fine if they don't. Like that's never, I don't really care. But the fact that like people are reading and they kind of want to share the experience, it's more about who else is participating. It's almost like a marathon rather than a personal, interesting, like kind of transformative experience with the books itself. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, and that's making some big generalizations here, but it does seem like a lot of it is about, here are the books that I have, here's what I'm going to read, and like everyone else kind of bouncing off that idea rather than just having that very intense, personal, transformative experience.
I think the marathon analogy is perfect because, the not just for the Sealey challenge, but just like the poetry scene overall. It's let me tell you about my thing just beeped. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did.
Sorry.
Thanks a lot. Now everything is ruined.
We
screwed it all up, Kate. Start from scratch.
Always me. I felt like with the Sealey challenge, though, it's just like I do like looking at everyone's stacks, like when they post their stacks, like because I was like, oh well, what did you pick? And I did it last year. I made it about 3 books in, and then I was like, this is impossible. So I went back and revisited my stack this year and thought, well, maybe I'll go back and for the ones that I did read, I'll pay it again forward by like, taking it one step further and like going and rating what I thought about it on Goodreads or Amazon or whatever. And kind of like making it less about showing off what books you're reading and more of like, a little bit of accountability of having, or of participating in this. Like if you're in, this, like, what is the end game? I feel like all this pressure of like, like, should I just like be handing out waters to all these poets? Like I'm on the sidelines, like, God, you look tired. Whatever. And that's how I feel too when everyone's like posting not only their poems, but like their acceptance letters for their upcoming poems, and everybody's, it's like, yay. And then, but it's going so fast, like that it's like I break out into a sweat, and then, that I'm sweating, and no one, and I'm in a, my pumpkin spice sweater, tired. I just want everyone to slow down. Is that so bad?
Speaking of submissions, when's the last time you submitted work?
I almost feel like guilty writing right now. Like it feels like I should still be paying attention on what I just did and what I put out into the world, and like, to at least like try and get someone to read it. Which
yeah. Yes, people have read it. At least me. So I've got you got that going for you.
My mom and my dad, my neighbor read it, and then came over one day and was just like, "Are you depressed?"
Oh my God, I find that kind of endearing. That at least there is like people willing to like ask you that. I think that's fantastic.
Well, it's just gotten to the point where like I think we don't know how to read each other's poems anymore. We're reading it all so literal, and maybe it's because everyone is writing from personal places right now. Everyone's kind of like trying to tell their story through poetry, and I don't really know, like maybe that factors into the desperation, of everybody wanting so badly to be heard, even, so not so much that they can't even wait for the poem to come out, but they need the validation to let everyone see that their poem got accepted, and it's just like that. I don't remember that being a thing.
No, it used to be you would, I just remember it being like once the poem was like published, and if it was online, you would send out the link. If it was in a print, sometimes you'd post a picture of the poem in the journal. But it has gone from I submitted to a dream journal to I got accepted to a dream journal to thank you to the editors of said dream journal to it just got published to like these multiple iterations of this one poem. The one poem has like the shelf life of like 2 years from submission to acceptance to publication, and it's a lot. It is a lot to do, like kind of sit and experience and absorb. It's just a lot when you, especially if you have a lot of writer friends, it is a lot of just incoming messages about people's like literary journey. I don't even know exactly what to call submission journey. I have no idea what the word for it is, but it is just a lot to kind of absorb, and it becomes hard to maintain a certain level of enthusiasm over the course of like 7 months for the one poem or whatnot.
I think we all feel trapped because I have so many moments of, I'm just gonna delete it all, like and let them wonder if I died, like just shut it all down. But then I'm like, there's like an onion of problems there. Social media is like this ball and chain that we carry around. Then all of a sudden, like there's another lit scandal that, and everybody goes crazy because everyone wants to, feed on, like, I think everyone just needs like dopamine or something, like a little nugget of like to get them to feel something. And I think like outrage is like, oh, well, like I'm feeling something.
No, I had a friend who said like they had a pretty traumatic childhood, and social media was really bad for them because the anger was kind of addicting and triggering at the same time. Like that was what they were used to. So when they would go online and feel that, like they could get really easily sucked into it. And so it was just a very unhealthy space. And I think a lot of people, if you kind of look at people's histories and see what they're about and what they do, there is a lot of that kind of rage addiction that seems to be going on. Like so many people are just jumping from scandal to scandal, and when there isn't so much scandal happening, like going out and searching for it. And
also
it's
conjuring scandal out of like thin air too, things that like just don't seem at all scandalous to me. Maybe an interesting like point of like topic for discussion, but not like scandal. But then but that's not how we treat things anymore.
It's either complete outrage or it's acceptable, and that acceptable line seems to have narrowed a little bit. And some of the things absolutely should not have been in the acceptable lane to begin with, but there are other things that I think we're still trying to find our balance on what is actually acceptable and what isn't, and what should be allowed in like civil discourse and what isn't. And especially in the literary world, I feel like that is becoming more and more of an issue that people are having a harder time ignoring.
I think that there is a large amount of us that are doing, maybe not ignoring it per se, because sometimes, you know, your feed gets oversaturated and it's everywhere, you know, but people feeling less and less inclined to comment. You don't know who those people are because they're just keeping their mouths shut. And so you don't really know, like you get I guess what I'm trying to say is you get a false sense of perspective. But, you know, if the outrage is loud enough, then you think, oh, well, then this thing that is supposedly a scandal must be really, really bad because everybody is so loud. Should we all just keep our heads down, or should more people be, you know, speaking up and saying, I mean, really, are we really mad about this thing, you know? And I know we're being very vague, but I don't know. It's like, well, which scandal to bring up, you know? But we just subtweeted theoretically.
Just the entire literary world.
Yeah,
Subtweeting the whole thing.
Yeah.
Move on.
We're talking about you. We are. Well, we covered the Sealey challenge a little.
A little.
Maybe we could have Nicole talk to us sometime.
I would love to invite Nicole on and see if her original dream or idea has taken fruition in the way that she thought it did. And what, I don't know, I mean, have you noticed any, like, I mean, it's kind of a great thing to do monthly. Not a great thing to do for me because I'm terrible at it, but kind of great to see so much focus on poetry in kind of collective way. But effectively, I don't know if I've seen much of a difference in general, like in the literary world regarding like what has been the effects of it. Really, I don't know.
I think aside from plugging each other, it's very much like a Twitter roll call, like, oh, who are you reading these days? And people like start posting you know, handles, and everybody feels validated and warm and fuzzy that they got, you know, never happens to me, but I wouldn't know the feeling. But it's like the, you know, oh, like, you know, you kind of like, I see that sort of, I see you. And I don't know. I mean, it's certainly not a terrible thing. I don't think it's bad. And I do think it does foster that sense of community, like you were saying. And people are buying books. That's the other thing, you know, like, so people buying books for this so-called Sealey challenge. I just think like if someone were to come and do like a, you know, maybe like take some stats on the end game, how many people actually followed through, how many people, you know, was it more just that Instagram picture of your book stack, which I know for me last year it mostly was. And that's, you know, so it's like I wonder really how many people have followed through, like from start to finish, and what they really think of it, like what did they feel like they got reading at that pace, and kind of looking back. I mean, I feel like I would have whiplash if I read, you know, 30 books in a month. And I'm not so sure I'd get much out of it personally.
So, I mean, you're a parent too, and you work and you're a spouse and you have all these other multiple responsibilities. And I don't see having the time to read a book a day. I maybe can read outside my editorial duties, maybe a book or two in a month of poetry, but like every day I would love to try realistically someday, maybe once the kids are no longer children and out of the house and I'm financially independent and wealthy or something. I don't know.
I think that we'll maybe we could do a table for Deuce challenge and like force like the poetry community to like read, like keep talking about one poem for like a full week. We're not going to stop talking about this one poem for a full week, and then like just see what comes out of it. like the
That
conversation
would,
and stuff.
I think that would be
Slow, like,
amazing.
there's that, that's the poetry podcast, the slow down, like,
Mhm.
yes, I like this. Let's slow the pace. Let's, God, if you didn't see the cat, you'd think I lived in like Poltergeist. Hold on.
You are haunted East Coast house.
It is spooky season. I've had to get up like 20 times, and you're just like, peacefully there, like behind your backdrop.
I've got this wonderful
poster
space here.
And I have to get up like every 2 seconds for these cats who largely ignore me 23 hours a day. Now it'll be like on the podcast. But yeah, no, something like I would like to have a slow down challenge, like, and see, make people I don't know, just stop the race and the dog and pony show of it all, and just pick something and say, I'm going to like focus on this, and see what kind of conversation you can conjure up. I do miss not so much like having my poems torn apart in a workshop or whatever, but like the workshop environment of where everyone just sits around and just spends a lot of time talking about so many aspects of one particular poem, and where it's successful and where it's missing the mark, and is it offensive, and why, or like, is it okay, things like that, and having that kind of discourse where every opinion is okay, and you can walk away with your own takeaway.
I think that's a great idea. And I already have a poem that I would love people to discuss, because I know it's probably a little bit divisive. So Chen Chen's poem, I think it was called Winter, and that's the poo poem. Do you remember that one?
I remember we talked about it. I have to reread it. The poo poem.
I love that poem. I'm actually a huge fan of that poem, but I am positive there has to be people out there that just think it's juvenile. And I would love to have that conversation about that poem, because I am a defender of that poem. I love that poem. I think it's
Do you
brilliant.
have it up? Like, is it something you can pull up, or is that maybe...
Not at the moment.
Okay, well,
but
I'll edit that in. Okay.
Yeah. But that is one poem I would love people to discuss, because I do think there's a certain sensibility there. People will be like, nope, pass.
What's the title,
this is
of
stupid.
the poem again?
I think it's called Winter, and it's of course has this beautiful kind of like peaceful title, and it's essentially about being sick and shitting yourself and being taken care of by your partner, I believe, I think is the general story of that poem, but it's so good.
It's a perfect poem for my week, so I will go into that poem. I will spend a week on that poem. Should we like make it an assignment for our one listener, like my mom, who's the
Oh my gosh, we should. And I will like, I always said, I want part of this whole whatever the heck we're doing to be in at least a little bit partially in service to the literary world. So I would love to like buy whoever actually participates, maybe if it's more than one person, which I doubt, even if it will be one person, I will actually buy Chen Chen's book and send it to them if they don't have it already. And Chen Chen has a new book out, which I haven't bought yet either, which I need to. So, but that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, doing that whole thing of giving writing the time and thought and dissection deserves.
That's right.
Yeah,
yes.
I like that a lot.
All right, then it's a plan. That is next time.
Next time. Yep. Chen Chen. Poo poem.
Chen Chen. Poo poem, aka Winter. So
we told ourselves we weren't gonna make people sit too long. So should we?
No.
Yeah.
I think that is a good transitional spot to wrap up.